I'm Ken Tarafa. I'm an online fitness coach. I'm going to tell you why I quit teaching kindergarten after 13 years and decided to make my own online coaching business. 13 years ago, I started teaching kindergarten and I loved it. It was probably one of the most rewarding things that I had ever done at the time. I remember the very first moment that I actually realized that I fell in love with it. And that was with a child that was struggling with the content that we were learning in the class at the time. And he had struggled for weeks. But after just careful guidance with him each day, spending very detailed, specific time with him to help him get through it, I remember the moment that he just suddenly got it. And he never forgot after that. And it was just so cool to be able to guide someone, like to guide a child through something like that. That was really important to me because that put me in the place where I just wanted to make this my career forever. And it was for a really long time. And I loved it for a really long time up until COVID. And I think that a lot of teachers might be able to relate with me on this. I don't know, maybe I'm the only one, but COVID changed everything for teachers, it felt like. I mean, there were problems before that, absolutely, but afterwards, it was just a whole different ballgame. Like when COVID hit, we had to do the online teaching, and that was terrible for me, at least, because everything that I loved about teaching was just suddenly non-existent in online teaching. It just wasn't there. As a kindergarten teacher, it's a whole different world. And because I was working for a private kindergarten, they needed certain things to be done on our video, in our video classes and our online classes that just was impossible, right? But you tried to keep the kids engaged. You tried to, get them involved. But kindergartners aren't really going to be working with like computers the same way that someone in like third and fourth grade would be able to. And it just kind of took away everything that I loved about teaching in general. And that was a hard time for me. But then when we were coming back into class, it was really exciting because I was like, okay, we're getting back to what it is that I know. But it wasn't much better because when we came back, it seemed like everything changed still. It wasn't like it was before. And I'm not even talking about like the COVID regulations. I'm talking about just the kids were, it seemed like the behavior was worse sometimes. It felt like the parents weren't taking as much responsibility for teaching the kids how to act around others. And maybe because like a lot of them grew up during COVID, they had lost the ability to do that, or they didn't learn it properly because there was so much isolation. And it also felt like there was just a lot more pressure from the higher ups. Like because the kids were worse behaved, it felt like we were having to deal with a lot more behavioral issues. And we're having to deal with the repercussions of having to talk to parents about that while receiving less support from higher ups and management. I feel like that's still happening. Right? I feel like even now that never went away. At that time, I had gained a lot of weight. And I think a lot of people did during COVID. I gained a lot, and so I decided, okay, I'm going to do something about it. So I did. And it took a lot of trial and error. I made a lot of mistakes, and some mistakes that actually cost me a lot of time, a lot of money, my own health. But eventually I figured it out. And I lost 50 pounds and I got in the best shape of my life. And I started to absolutely love fitness. And you could kind of see sort of like a shift in my interests where suddenly teaching became so difficult. And it wasn't even the kids necessarily. Like, yeah, there were behavioral issues, but I still loved engaging with them. I still loved providing them with things that are going to stick with them for the rest of their lives. But then I had this fitness side of me and I started to really get into it. I treated it as a hobby, but I got really into it. I got really knowledgeable about it. I studied everything that I could find on it. I would follow weightlifters online and I would buy their books and I would read their books and I would try to understand everything that I possibly could about it, because that's what I do. I learn everything that I can about it in like the span of just a few months. And so I got really into fitness that way. And then I started getting a lot of people who were commenting on my own physique. Not only saying like, wow, you lost a lot of weight, which is what a lot of people had said at first, but also like, wow, you're getting really buff. Your shoulders are getting really big. Your arms are getting really big. You're starting to get in really good shape. People started saying that, and they started asking me questions about how I did it and what they need to do and how they can improve. And so I started helping. And I started helping friends and family, coworkers, and I realized that through that help, a lot of them were able to do way more than they thought that they could ever do. And I realized I could really help people with this. So I made my own channel a while ago, a long time ago, of just like stuff that I wanted to tell people that I thought people should know, because not a lot of people know this. And I wanted to spread that around. I wanted to spread that information around, not just to my friends, but to everybody. And I also started to kind of take the methods that I used, the things that worked and the things that did not work, and I wanted to create a system of exactly how I achieved what I did, and so I did that. And now that I had this system, I started to help other people with that, other friends, other family, and saying like, hey, I have this exact system. This is how you do it. And it started to help more people. And I realized this is something that I can do long term. There was a moment where teaching just suddenly became a second thought. And not so much the teaching part, because I always put my all into the teaching part, but it was just the administration I was getting tired of. And it was just all of the problems that I was getting tired of them. And that poor communication and the poor handling of problems in the classroom, and just everything that you can think of. And it was just, I wasn't complaining about it. I wasn't saying anything about it. I was just getting tired of it. And then I realized, like, I don't love this anymore like I used to. And so I decided, I talked to my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife. I talked to her and I was like, I want to make my own business out of this. Like, I have my channel. I want to help other people to achieve what it is that I achieved. And she believed in me. And I believed in myself. And I knew I had the right information and the right things to help others. So I did everything that I needed to. I put a whole business together. I got all of my certifications that I needed, put a business together, registered the business. I did all of the steps that I needed to do. And now here I am. That switch, that change of like, okay, I'm just going to stop teaching and go all the way into this. That change was one of the scariest things that I had ever done. It was terrifying. And it still is a little bit, because I'm still having to constantly like try to run this thing so that it's working. But I don't regret it. I don't regret that choice at all. Even if sometime down the road this fails, it's just, I needed to do something different. I needed to do something with this passion that I have. And that's why I quit teaching after 13 years and started my own business as an online fitness coach. Anyway, thank you guys for sticking around. Hopefully you got something from this. We'll see you later. Make sure you subscribe down below, leave a comment, leave a like, whatever you want, or you can follow me on Instagram. I am Ken_Tarafa. So anyway, guys, see you later.